Catherine McKenna went on a junket to California in 2017 to brag about the successes of her green schemes here in Canada to a receptive American audience of left-wing politicos. Seems like a bit of a typical McKenna virtue signaling trip, so why won't she tell us who went with her? It was over 2 years ago when we first started investigating Environment Minister Catherine McKenna's 3-day April 2017 trip to California. Who did she take with her? Who did she meet with while she was there? How much did it all cost? And who did she embarrass us in front of? And to be perfectly honest, we still don't have all the answers we want, but we do know a lot more than we did before. McKenna says she went to showcase Canadian innovation and Canada's action on climate and to highlight the importance of the Canada-California trade relationship, blah, 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 which sounds like she went to brag about how universally loved her carbon tax is when it absolutely isn't. Anyway, this is from the Government of Canada website for the trip. During the visit, she, McKenna, will meet with Governor Jerry Brown, Google, Stanford University, the California Environmental Protection Agency, and other business and policy leaders in San Francisco to discuss economic opportunities for clean growth and job creation and Canada's competitive advantage for clean energy investment. None of those last words go together, do they? Anyway, it sounds expensive and slightly sinister, with McKenna loping around Silicon Censorship Valley. So I went looking where I always start because I'm a fiscal conservative. I went after the costs to the taxpayers for this trip. I got those, but I also got more than I bargained for because I actually got the trip itinerary, which answers some questions and begs even more. Okay, let's go through this together. You'll see what I mean. Page 32, we get to see the budget projections for the trip right here. Hospitality is expected to be provided for a roundtable luncheon at Stanford University, lunch with industry representatives, and dinner with senior government officials from the state of California. The estimated hospitality cost is $3,442. The total estimated expenditures for this event are $9,721. But that's not the real total. $3,400 on hospitality and a total of $9,700 on the event. That's a bit of a ruse. There are more costs. They're dispersed around the government, though, for some reason. On page 36, we can see here some of the travel costs were being covered under a separate department for some reason, International Affairs. Look at this. International Affairs will cover the cost for one traveler. Now, that's a bit strange. Then we see that the expenses for 2 more climate change staffers are not lumped into the total, but instead are tacked on to something else. Please note that Martin Lajoie and Linda Dankwa from Environment and Climate Change are participating in the Navigating American Carbon World Conference. Their travel and conference fees are covered under a separate event. We don't know what that is, though. And there's more. $2,000 will be transferred to the consulate in California to cover on-the-ground transportation for the minister and hospitality costs if the minister decides to host her counterparts. $2,000. That's a lot of limos for a green trip to the green state of California, don't you think? This is also sneaky and secretive, but that's not where the secrecy ended. Here on page 35, the Environment and Climate Change bureaucrats block out the names of the participants before they gave me this information package. I wonder whose names they blacked out under participant names. And here again on page 40, they black out the name of McKenna's staffers on the trip as quote-unquote personal information. This, of course, directly violates what the Information Commissioner said in her report. This violates the Access to Information Act. Your name is not private information. When you're a government staffer or anyone else billing taxpayers to spend half a week touring California with Catherine McKenna. This is the story here. We detail how the Information Commissioner issued a ruling on a series of complaints made by us about the Privy Council office. Those are Trudeau's chief bureaucrats, and they were redacting information about Gerald Butts and his expenses using the old personal information excuse. Here, look at this. This is directly from the Information Commissioner's ruling. Publicly available information on exempt staff travel should be disclosed. We investigated 8 complaints about the decision by the Privy Council Office, the PCO, to refuse to disclose travel expenses for members of the Prime Minister's staff who are not part of the regular public service, known as exempt staff. PCO claimed that the records constituted personal information. Some of the information in one of the complaints did not meet the definition of personal information in the Privacy Act based on which institutions may withhold information. So, who the heck are these people on McKenna's trip whose names are so damaging to the Liberal government that the Liberals are now violating the Information Commissioner's rulings to keep the names from me? Are they worse than, say, Tom Steyer? The reason I ask is that I can see that Catherine McKenna was meeting with staunchly anti-oil sands American billionaire Tom Steyer. Look at this on page 48. Other keynote speakers, Tom Steyer, Next Gen Climate. Steyer has been described by the CBC as spearheading the fight against Alberta oil pipeline Keystone XL. So this isn't just a right-wing conspiracy theory. It's common knowledge. Billionaire Steyer is a huge Democrat donor who ran an anti-Keystone State of the Union ad in 2014. The Financial Post reported back in 2015 that Steyer said he will punish lawmakers who oppose climate action, and he pledged to spend $100 million to put the issue on center stage during the 2016 election. In 2015, in the lead up to the American election, Steyer had already dumped nearly $800 million into green lobbying in the state of California alone through his super PAC Next Gen Climate Action. So what on earth was McKenna doing meeting with someone who is going to punish American lawmakers who allow permits for pipelines from Alberta to get built? Now, Steyer's bad. He's awful. But at least we know his name. And that makes me very worried for the names that were redacted here. Which high-profile environmentalist was schmoozing the Americans at the invitation of climate babs and then charging the high-carbon air travel back to you and me? We'll see what we can find out. We'll appeal this and try to bring you the truth. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. The Liberal government can redact information. They can delay the release of information, but that is never going to stop us from trying to find out what the Liberal government is doing behind closed doors. To support our work here, be sure to like and share our content. Share it widely, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.